Welcome back. It's the Flow Sports Hour on Flow FM. It's always great to have one of our Olympians on the show, so I'm very pleased to have Jane Claxton, captain of the Hockeyroos, on the line with me. Thanks very much for joining me, Jane. How are you doing?
No, thank you for having me on. Not too bad. In the middle of a work day, as per all minority sports are, juggling work and hockey, but no, otherwise pretty good.
Yes, it is a bit of a minority sport, hockey, unfortunately, not quite getting the coverage that AFL and cricket and some of the others are getting, so it is great to have you on the show and to be able to give hockey a bit of airtime, and you've been representing Australia for quite some time now. How different's the experience now as, well, I think the most experienced player in the squad, and sort of being the old head compared to the days of being the newest on the team and one of the younger ones.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't believe it when I first came into the team and people kept telling me how quickly it goes by, and one year you are the youngest and then suddenly 10 years have gone by and you're now the oldest, and as you said, meant to be most experienced, most capped player, and now you're the captain. So it is it goes by really quickly, and you don't believe it at the time when you're a youthful brain thinking that everything is for eternity. And so, now I'm kind of at the other end, kind of looking in the mirror and kind of seeing retirement ahead of me and trying to do my best to, one, stay in touch with the younger generation, but to, I guess, perform my best leading into the Olympics.
Well, no retirement just yet, because it is a very big year ahead. Of course, it is an Olympic year, as you just alluded to, and we'll touch on the Olympics in just a moment. But you're fresh off the FIH Pro League campaign in India, where it was a bit of a mixed bag of results for the Hockeyroos, 4 wins and 4 losses, but it looked like a really tight competition. I mean, you lost to China the first time around and then flipped that result. You beat India the first time around and then flipped that result. So, it looks like all the nations that were involved were pretty competitive with one another.
Yeah, I think international women's hockey, the top probably 10 teams are quite close now, excluding the Dutch, who obviously are number 1 in the world and probably have a bit of a gap on the rest of us right now. But it is super competitive for those rest of the nations in the top 10. And as you can see with our results, they do kind of yo-yo between games. I guess we're using Pro League as a platform to give younger, less experienced players that experience and also opportunity for selection leading into the Olympics, and basically seeing what options we have within our team, playing people in different roles and playing different structures. I was playing striker one game, which is notoriously not my position, but we have the luxury, I guess, in this next 6-month period to throw everything that we have in our preparation and see where we land.
All right, very exciting, and I'll talk to you more about the Pro League in just a second, but before we do, can you just give us a bit of background about how the structure of the competition works? Because I know there's more countries involved in the FIH Pro League than what were involved in India, and then you're heading to Belgium in May to continue that, and some more of those countries are involved, and as the standings are at the moment, some nations have played a fair few more games than others. So, how does it all work?
Yeah, so it's kind of our annual tournament that's spread over probably an 8-month period. The European countries tend to start in November of the year before, and so some of the European countries have played a lot more games than us, but it's a home and away series to effect. This time round, we decided to all meet in India, so we're not having any home games in Australia this year. That's just to limit our travel, and so we decided to meet countries in India, and they came to India as well, and we played kind of, I guess, a 2-week tournament against those countries, and then we'll have a Europe leg in June this year to kind of finish off the rest of the teams that we didn't get to in India. And that's pretty similar across the board. Teams kind of doing home and away games against each country. It kind of yo-yos each year, so you'll have a home series one year and then you'll be away the next year. So there's a lot more travel ahead of us, but that's kind of the concept, I guess, of Pro League, is kind of span it over a longer period rather than having more compressed tournaments, which we used to probably about 5 years ago now.
All right, and I mentioned some of the results there. Like I said, it was a 4-win and 4-loss win-loss record this time around. I want to focus on the Netherlands. Like you said, they're pretty clearly at the top of of the league at the moment, and it was a 6-2 loss and then a 3-1 loss in the 2 matches against them. How do you feel it prepares you for the Olympics, having a good look at them from these 2 games? And I think you get to play them again in Belgium in May. So, yeah, how do you think that helps you prepare for the big one in Paris?
Yeah, I think most teams probably use their games against the Netherlands as a benchmark to see where they're at with the top team. Unfortunately, the 6-2 loss was quite a bruise to the ego at the time. But as I said before, we're kind of experimenting and using this time to nut out any, I guess, positional problems, wave play problems, and give people different positional roles. So, yeah, I'm a super competitive person, hate losing, let alone that scoreline. And we did tidy a few things up leading into that second game. Unfortunately, they have what is termed a drag flicker, and the best drag flicker in the world, arguably, and she scored a hat-trick in that second game, which isn't a common thing. So, yeah, it is, when you have people like that on the field, it's such an attribute. And you see that with the Kookaburras, the men's team. They have similar players and personnel in their lineup that can do similar things, and it just, really destroys other teams if you have personnel like that. So the Dutch are used as a benchmark, and we have a lot to work on, obviously, with those types of scorelines. And but I think we're on track. It's good for younger girls to kind of experience the Dutch as well in a tournament that effectively the results don't matter. There's no medal at the end of it, and so it's more of a safe environment for them to kind of see the pace, see the skill level, and adjust to that leading into the Olympics and our European tour in June.
And you've had quite a long, decorated career now. You've got lots and lots of medals to your name and achieved a lot in the sport of hockey, but that Olympic medal is still eluding you. And like you said, you're a very competitive person and hate losing. So how do the preparations differ this year? Are you training a lot harder, or are you sort of trying to keep it as normal as possible and not overthink things?
Yeah, there's always the trap and danger in an Olympic year to feel like you need to go above and beyond. In many aspects, you probably do. Other teams are getting fitter and stronger, and there's a higher training load, which is natural, but you don't want to tick over to that overtraining, getting sick, getting injured category. And especially, unfortunately, at my age of 31, the body doesn't respond as well to just being thrown against the wall and seeing how it sticks. So I have to be probably a bit smarter about my training program, which being in a team sport, each of our programs as individual athletes are tailored to our needs. And having been on the track quite a long time, there's obviously different variations in my training program compared to someone that's probably fresh into the program. So, it is a delicate balance, and being in a team sport makes it even harder because you're trying to juggle so many people's loads. But our S&C and physio do really well at it. I don't know how, but they manage to keep us all on the track most of the time. But being in a kind of contact sport, there are variables in that of getting hit by hockey balls and sticks and all of that. So it's a difficult thing to manage in the Olympic year.
Yes, I remember playing junior hockey, and getting hit by a hockey ball or a hockey stick is exactly as fun as it sounds, which is not fun at all. It hurts. It's not good.
Exactly.
You alluded to earlier, you've got to work and have that work-life sport balance, and being a semi-professional athlete where you probably should be focusing on your sport full-time, but unfortunately hockey doesn't quite have the funding for that. How much does that complicate things, especially getting it into this age where, you're not as sprightly as you probably were 10 years ago, and you probably do need the extra time to, warm up and to cool down and to really focus on your body? How much more difficult is that, knowing that you have to work through the week as well?
Yeah, I think early on in my career it didn't impact me as much, but as you said, now as you age and little niggles or just the training load has a different impact on your body, and I'm finding now that I need more of that recovery time, and it's really hard to balance with work. But I do need to pay a mortgage, I do need to pay bills, I do need to eat food, so work is a priority as well, and it's finding the gaps in your day and adjusting your working day to, I guess, best suit or support you being an elite athlete. I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive employer. and work in the health space. So a lot of people I work with are physically active. They understand what I'm doing. So I don't need to explain why I'm leaving work particularly early or why I've come late during the day or why I need to work from home. So it is great in that aspect, but I know there's some people that are not in the types of roles that I'm in and not have employers that are as supportive, or the employer thinks they're being supportive, but they really don't grasp the demands of being an elite athlete and what that can have on that individual. They've come to work already having been at a 3-hour training session. And so cognitively, physically, they're probably already a bit cooked, and so managing that load as well. But yeah, it is incredibly hard. You do adjust to it, but I wish I didn't have to. Recently on our 3-week tour to India, I got a taste of what could be full-time athlete life, and I bloody love it. I would have loved to have done that for the last 10 years and look at my AFL counterparts and seeing what they can get out of themselves when they don't have that added pressure of working as well as managing a training load. In many respects, we do train equally as much as them, but we also have jobs on top of it. So, I know even my friends aren't really aware of the training load I go through as well as the work I need to do until recent years when I've probably opened up a lot more about that type of struggle. So it is interesting, the presumptions, I guess, that are out in society of what some athletes are or are not doing.
Well, we do love a multi-sport athlete here on the Flow Sports Hour. Is there any chance you might make that switch to go and play for the Dockers or the Eagles after your hockey career wraps up and, get a taste of that pro athlete life?
I would love to. I don't think my body would allow something as high contact as AFL. My partner is quite a serious long-distance runner, and so I have considered that. And obviously our history of back in the day being little athletics champions, I might pull that out of the bag after I'm done with hockey. But yeah, I haven't really thought too much into what retirement looks like in that aspect of life. Trying to not tempt myself into that corner too quickly.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure you could walk into the Masters Games and walk out with a few gold medals, that's for sure. So that could be something on the horizon. And it's International Women's Day coming up at the end of this week. Have you and the hockey team got anything planned for that?
Yeah, we've got a few, different social media messages and initiatives we're doing. It's a huge, opportunity for women in general, but also women in sport. It's a huge platform for us to kind of showcase what we do. And part of that is balancing the work and elite athlete life, but also study and being an elite athlete, being a mum and being an elite athlete. All those types of dynamics that many women in sport are balancing at the moment. We've got a few things in the pipeline that we'll be probably releasing over the next week just to kind of, bring more attention to us as individuals in the Hockeyroos and giving hopefully more of an insight into what we do on a daily basis and hopefully getting a sneak peek behind the curtain, as they say. And obviously a lot of girls are quite involved in the coaching side of things, so running some clinics at some local girls' schools and things like that.
Fantastic. That's great to hear, and it's going to be a big day on Friday for International Women's Day. Good to hear that you and the girls have got plenty going on for that. And Jane, I've got to ask you about your dad. I'm lucky enough to have been coached by the great Bob Claxton, and I was having a look at his life membership resume for Hockey Australia, and if I was to run through all of that, I would be here talking for about 2 hours because you've really got to scroll to get through it all. He's done a fair bit of everything. What impact has he had on your hockey career?
Yeah, I think he holds the status of being or working in a hockey role within every single state in Australia, which is a unique achievement. But no, he is an incredible asset to Hockey Australia and also Oceania Hockey. He probably should already have an OAM for his services to hockey, but he's not that type of person. He doesn't like those types of individual accolades. He does it for the greater good of the sport and donated, I think, probably millions of hours of his time free of charge to the hockey community just to make it a better sport, leave it in a better place when he moves on. And I don't think I'll ever fill those shoes. He gets the, privilege of following me around the world and watching me play hockey, and also filming every part of that hockey experience and giving me feedback. As you said, he is a coach and loves to give me a breakdown of my performances, which, it's a love-hate thing, I guess. I wouldn't be here today without that knowledge seeping through from him to me. But incredible role model for me, and I guess has probably set the standard for me in terms of what I want to do with hockey, and when I give back and volunteer for things and don't expect payment, because I just want hockey to be a better sport and be in a better place, and also I kind of move on from it.
It's funny you've got him there filming. I mean, from my experience coaching junior basketball, the number one rule for parents is don't come over and try and coach your kids. I'm the coach. I don't want them getting two separate bits of advice, but with someone like your dad giving advice, I think even the coach of the Hockeyroos would be more than happy for him to chip in with some advice here and there.
Oh, yeah. No, Katrina Powell, our coach, sees him coming from a mile away, but she is so great with that aspect. She knows how much knowledge he does have, and he never really steps the boundary of coaching me mid-game. It's always post with a debrief about different aspects of what I was thinking during the game. It definitely keeps me grounded. He loves being involved. The veterans train before us on Wednesdays, so him and a whole heap of his mates always stay around to watch us train, and I always get a phone call on the way home, debriefing some of the drills and everything. But I love how invested he is, and my mum's the same. I wouldn't have it any other way, and otherwise I don't think I would have been as smarter or gotten to where I was as a hockey player without that level of commitment from my parents.
Fantastic. Yeah, very important to have that commitment and that support from your parents and your family. Jane, just before we wrap up, what else is on the horizon for you now? Like I said, it's Belgium in May and obviously Paris for the Olympics a bit later in the year, but in the more immediate future, is it just pretty much training hard for those Pro League games in Belgium and, just Olympic preparations?
No, a very timely question, because it just confirms that we'll be having a mini-series here in Perth where we're based as a squad, potentially against China, South Africa, and maybe Japan, and then we'll have an Australian A team as well. So that will be happening in mid-April. So that's pretty exciting. We don't have to travel. People are coming to us, and we get great quality opposition. So that's in the pipeline in the immediate future. It's about 21 weeks until the Olympic Games. So in the meantime, in between the kind of games we're playing, it's a lot of training and building, I guess, our resilience. And it's going to be hot in Paris, so we'll probably be angling towards heat acclimation, which is really easy in Perth because it's about 40 degrees every other day at the moment. Definitely once it gets into winter, we'll probably be targeting heat chamber work in those middle months leading into Europe. After kind of that April block, we'll just be knuckling down and getting some good training behind us.
All right, excellent stuff. Lots of exciting things on the horizon for the Hockeyroos, and we'll all be rooting for you in the lead up to Paris and obviously at Paris as well. Great speaking to you, Jane. Thanks very much for coming on the show today. All the best for, the upcoming games in Perth and in Belgium and, of course, in Paris as well. Hopefully we can have you back on soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and always good to talk about hockey.